Hey, Sharam Namdarian here. In this video, we're going to be talking about assertiveness and the blockages towards becoming more assertive, and how our blockages, our internal blockages, stop us from being assertive, and how to become more assertive through emotional healing. But before we get into that, I want to announce that this Sunday, Melbourne time, so make sure to Google it in your own time zone, I'll be live on Triple J's show, The Hookup. Now, Triple J is an Australian radio show, that's what they're called. And The Hookup is all about naughty and sexy things. They often talk about things that daytime radio can't necessarily talk about, like sex, for example. So in this show, we're talking about dating and pets. So if you're interested in that and how pets, like do's and don'ts of pets dating, which is what they're interested in talking about, when I talk to them, they know that I'm more interested in talking about, or I'm also interested in talking about, like how pets can actually help us facilitate high relationships, and what people do and what people might not do when it comes to pets and dating. So that's really interesting, that I really love to share about that. But if you are in another state or another country, please Google Melbourne time, and the Triple J The Hookup, and plot that in your calendar, and you'll see me live on the radio from your browser, because if you're in another part of the world, you'll just have to browser it. I've said in the past, I record these shows and I put them out online. I haven't done it. There's too much stuff. There was too much blockages. I was too embarrassed, for example. Why? Why would you be embarrassed? I don't fucking know. But I've gotten over a lot of that. So I might record it. I might put it out there. I might not. So that's my way of saying, just if you want to listen live. And if you're not gonna, just don't rely on me. Anyway, so in this video, we are talking about assertiveness and revealing our assertiveness. And I want to talk about that in a sense. I think it's really important to consider when you're talking about assertiveness in your life, that we are, in fact, revealing our assertiveness. It's not that you aren't assertive. It's not that you are incapable of being assertive, that you are revealing said assertiveness. It is deep within you, and it is always deep within you. That's a lot of these things that we talk about is stuff that we assume that you are innately gifted, and you have this. It's that the things we want are desires trying to manifest themselves out into the world, that we ourselves as human beings are trying to express our soul. For example, me doing these videos, I could say like, oh, it's because I'm trying to make a career. Or really, truly what's going on is my soul is trying to express itself. It's trying to express itself through making these videos, through creating a career, through dance, through talking, through relationships, through sex, through love, through whatever it might be. So assertiveness is just one of those things, because there are some times where we're going to want to be assertive and sometimes where we're not going to want to be assertive, where we want other people to take the charge, or we want to lean back a little bit. So assertiveness, let's get a definition, to be honest. Assertiveness I would describe as just our ability to look after our own needs. Are we able to look after our own needs? It does not mean putting other people's needs down. It does not mean that. If a wounded person, someone who needs to heal, their aspect towards their assertiveness, will sometimes put other people's needs down because they believe that maybe in order to be up, other people need to be down. Fucking bullshit. Completely figment of the mind. If you were going to look after your own needs, if you're going to look after your own assertiveness and assert yourself in the world, it doesn't necessarily mean that other people have to be put down. It just means that we are putting consciousness towards our own needs. Now, what are some blockages that one might have towards our own assertiveness? Well, no one hears me. I'm not important enough. I don't want to affect other people. There might be shame. Like, oh God, if I do this, I'm getting too much attention. So fucking what? Get attention. Look after yourself. Things like that. I've known in the past, for example, I've actually had a lot of blockages towards my own assertiveness. I didn't want to lose any opportunities. I didn't want to hurt people. I didn't want to affect people. I didn't want to make them feel like I was running over their needs or give them a bad vibe, that I might lose opportunities through being negative and that they might not necessarily like me. For example, in the past is with organizing times. Now, I'm someone who, through my own healing journey, I've discovered through myself that I have quite a systemized brain. I like times, I like dates, I like when things are happening, and I like systems. If someone gives me no system, I will systemize it. That's why, for all intents and purposes, I've systemized emotional healing. It's what's the button to press, How often should you press it? And can I please press it all the time? When it comes to healing things like anxiety, things like that. And this is the process that I teach you through these videos, that you learn through working with me, that you learn through your own life, that you learn inadvertently through life fucking forcing it down your throat. But so with my systemized brain, I like times. I like times to be organized at a very specific time, so I know when to execute things and how often. Now, if I don't have that luxury, which often we don't, it's a luxury, to be honest, I will prefer the time to figure it out. And I've systemized in my brain times on when I get to be like efficient, like tick, 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 and times on when to be open to the world. This is why some people often have said to me in the past, I might be neurodivergent, where I'm not necessarily the typical brain. And I don't know if that's I'm not ready, I'm not anywhere near ready to sort of look at that in my own life. Anyway, so when it comes to assertiveness, for example, organizing a time. Someone might come to me and like, hey, I'm going to call you between 5:30 and 8 p.m. And that drives me insane. 5:30, 8 p.m. I'm a busy man. Now, do I have the time for that? Sometimes I'll let it slide. But there was a time recently, for example, where I needed a specific time. And I noticed I had a blockage towards it. I noticed that I just didn't know what to say, and I was like, I need a specific time from these people. I don't fucking know. So what do? We surrender. As I surrendered, I literally just let go of that fear and said to them very clearly, I'd prefer a specific time. Is 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or whatever time I said, is that okay with you? Their response was fine. They're like, all right, cool, that works. Thank you very much. And often you'll notice that people will have an issue with your assertiveness because you have an issue with your assertiveness. And that's a really blanket statement, but that happens a good majority of the times. Other times it's like they've got their own drama. But through that thing, we can then realize, for example, in my own journey, I realized that, they're not going to like me. All my fears had to, but between that time where I was assertive and their response, all my fears started to fucking come up. And that was like, oh God, they're not going to like it. Oh God, they're going to hate it. They're going to say no. They're going to do all of this. And as I slowly let go of these things, I slowly surrendered, I slowly healed those aspects of my life, what ended up happening was I just realized I came to a deep, profound acceptance. I was like, look, if they don't like it, if they don't like me because I asked for a specific time, there's something wrong with them. like I've done my work, because they could come back to me like, that doesn't work. They could come back to me and say, I'm sorry, I don't know what I can come back to you. And then I could communicate to them and say, hey, that's fine. I get that. But we want to create an open dialogue with humans where we are free to express ourselves and we develop a language with them and we understand communication just in general. And we have these fears, these blockages, these experiences that block us because we are confounded with all of this extra junk in our mind. So the extra junk in our mind might be, hey, I believe that if I assert myself, they won't like me. And we also think that's bad. But upon healing that aspect, we might come to the deep, profound acceptance that someone liking us does not necessarily mean the end of the world. And someone hating us is also okay too. We come to this deep acceptance of that thing, and suddenly that fear of lack of assertiveness is gone. And you'll find that often that feeling of lack of like, oh God, I'm afraid someone won't like me, ultimately dilutes our personality. So we dilute ourselves, we distort ourselves to make someone like us, and what ends up happening? They don't end up liking us because they don't end up liking us. They don't end up liking the real person who's deep down underneath. Now, for example, I'm a fucking dating coach, right? I've learnt all the tricks of the trade. I did in the past at least, only to realize it sucks. Play games, get players. Play games, have to continue to play games. You end up becoming the kind of person who just doesn't know who they are anymore. And so here I am sharing this whole aspect of healing because towards relationships, towards my own depression, fucking solve the problem like this. And everything now is just an expression and everything lines up perfectly. Now I'm personally currently going through a time of healing my own body and healing my own things towards weight loss. I think in the last month, maybe I've lost like 4 kilos or 5 kilos or something like that. But it doesn't have to be so hard. It was rather easy, but I do have a lot of junk towards it. I'm like, oh God, I got to maintain it. Oh God, it's going to happen. Like, what's the end of the world? All of this junk that's actually towards my own body that's stopping me from actually experiencing and expressing my body in the way that I want to. And that's a lot of the times what we're doing. We're just trying to express ourselves in the world. And the more you can accept that, the more you can realize that, you start to notice that everyone else is just expressing themselves and they are just doing it in the best way that they fucking know how, and that we are all on the same beautiful path and it is fucking fantastic, and that we are trying our fucking best considering everything that's going on around us. So what ends up happening? Assertiveness. How do you assert yourself? What does assertiveness look like to you? When you're in your day-to-day life, you might be trying to assert yourself. Now, there might be times where you, for all lack of better words, we pull our punches. We stop ourselves from being who and truly what we are. Now, a lot of people might have this in their love life. For example, they might feel or believe that they have to lie down for the other person to like them. Like lie down emotionally, like do what you will with me. And that just makes you a doormat. Do they like you, or did they like the doormat? There's a part in my own life, in my own love life, where I've tried to figure out a way to make this like an Instagram quote or a quote that I post online, and I just can't do it, and I'm okay with that. But in my own life, my own love life, I've realized, like, if I'm not loved for who I am as a person, then I'm not loved. And like, I understand that I'm capable of experiencing love at its any form, but in my own private, intimate relationship, in my most intimate of intimates, I want to be able to be intimate, and that is to express whatever it is I'm feeling and to know that I'm loved for who and what I am. And the irony is, when you accept that, you are loved unconditionally, you start to see it. I've talked about tunnel vision. We have tunnel vision blocking us from experiencing life what it is and life as it is. So assertiveness, expressing yourself in the world, we start to realize that, okay, like it's fine. Like, for example, you might be assertive in one aspect of your life and unassertive in another aspect of your life. You might be assertive, for example, in your workplace, but really suck balls at asserting yourself in relationships, or it might be vice versa. In fact, early days when I used to call myself Harvey Hook, the dating coach, I used to encounter that issue a lot. It was one of my most powerful strategies, was realizing another aspect of their life where they were already assertive, and most of the time it was workplace, and helping them bridge the gap and realizing that they actually made relationships this different thing in their brain. Now all I do is I just heal them. I just work with people healing themselves, and the problem solves themselves. It's so easy. I'm a systemized person with a systemized brain. Press that button a million times. God damn it. So what's some takeaway from these videos? Well, you can think about it. Just become mindful of any time that you feel like you are pulling your punches, that you could have expressed yourself more and that you should have expressed yourself more. Because deep down inside of us, we know. We're just trying to express ourselves in the world, and we're just doing our best way to do that. When you are trying to assert yourself, I would ask you then to surrender. Surrender to those feelings that you did that stopped you from asserting yourself. Like, what are some feelings? Like, it's like, oh, they won't like me. It's like, can you surrender to the feeling that they won't like you? Can you surrender to the fear that they won't like you? Can you truly let that cycle complete itself? And ultimately, at the end of the day, you will then be free from it. You will let it go. You will process it. You'll have usually some realization, which I love when people have realizations. I find it really interesting because it's like sometimes the realizations they have is the same thing I've been on, and sometimes it's been on a completely different path. I remember I did a fear of abandonment seminar with a good friend of mine, and like the realizations that I asked them to surrender to those things, some of them just had a lot of junk that had to come up, but some people were saying stuff that I can't say it better myself. Like, I literally can't. I can lead them to water. It's like, you know, where you say like, oh, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. It's like surrender is leading and drinking. It's like, it's fine. It does the work. You do the work. So just be more mindful of the feelings that you have and surrender to those feelings. Let those things come up. Let those cycles happen. You will find naturally over time, you become more assertive, and it won't be painful. It'll just be natural, easy, and effortless, and you yourself will be like, oh, okay, like, I've just expressed this and it's fine, and if they didn't like it, that's fine. And the moment you are more assertive in one case and you show yourself it's safe to do that, you've suddenly just opened up the door to all of these other situations. Now, sometimes here's a little caveat. There are sometimes some people in your life who are used to you being a small little mouse and who might become angry at you not being a small little mouse anymore. You've lied down every time that you should have asserted yourself, and they like you to be a small little mouse. In that case, you will learn that assertiveness can either be a slow journey or it can be big and hard. You might remove that person from your life, or you might slowly introduce to them that you can be assertive and that they are safe with it. Because assertiveness is not only about looking after yourself, sometimes it's about looking after the other person. And if someone really fucking tries to put you down for being who you are, you might realize that that person just isn't ready for you, or that they have their own journey, or more, you might nurture them through taking your needs into account, nurturing that you should have done a long time ago, and nurturing that you are now learning through the hardest fucking situation of your life. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like this video, please leave a like. It shows me and it helps the YouTube algorithm. I just recently let go of my fear of begging. Please like this video. But also fucking comment something. Like, let's get the dialogue rolling. Things that you're thinking, write them down. Let me know, like, what are some things, blockages you might have towards feeling assertive? Like, let me know in the comments. And let me know if I'm going to see you on radio. So I'll talk to you soon. Mwah, and have a good day.